Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Got This in Black, your favorite black fashion show. It's the kid, Chukwuemeka, and to my left there we have Andima.
Oh, I like that intro.
Cozy.
Ooh, I'm a fan.
How are you doing?
I'm lovely.
Tell the people where we at.
Oh, we are in sunny California.
Wow, this is our first travel podcast.
It
So
is.
it's a big step, you know.
It is.
So we appreciate all your support and your continued support, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But how are you feeling? You feel good?
I'm feeling real good. Today's a special day.
Mm-hmm.
Special day.
It's a special day. You know, it will have passed by the time this episode is out, but today is my birthday.
Today is Andima's birthday.
Yes.
So we just
Season.
we thank God for your life.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yes.
Yes.
So as you know, and as we always do on Got This in Black, we always give you a special guest. So as you see, we have a very special guest to our middle. So go ahead and introduce yourself and let the people know what you do.
My name is Arrington John Fleming. I am a philosopher.
We're gonna learn something today.
Yeah, we are definitely going to learn something today. But before we get into it, let's get into the fits. So go ahead, kick us off, Andima. Tell us what you're wearing.
All right. Well, today I have on, this is Lapp. So I typically don't like trendy things, but it's really amazing to be able to support a Black woman who's put out a line. So I'm proud to be wearing this.
Yeah.
What else do I have? Oh, it's Black owned on there. My jewelry, I always wear these, y'all. It's like not different, but Knature The Label.
Shout out Knature The Label.
Goes
If you want
hard.
to sponsor us, go ahead and hit our email. 'Cause
Taking my coins every holiday season when there's a sale.
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
Okay.
That's what I got on.
What do you have on?
Well, I have on some of my new pieces that I just released for State of Condition.
Hey.
So I have on the landing pant.
Okay.
I also have
I
like.
love the silhouette of these pants.
Thank
Yeah,
you so much.
they're
guys.
really
Thank
awesome.
you.
Yes.
Thank you. We spent a year and a half on this silhouette to know. Yeah, we really dialed it in. So men and women can feel comfortable, and it also is so versatile.
Right.
Yeah.
Love it.
I got the external flight helmet hoodie on,
Okay.
which is another silhouette we worked on for like 5 months.
Okay.
I got, of course, my brother Dreams of Triumph.
Hey.
Got my jacket on.
Triumph. I don't want to bucket a couple times.
Yes, my snapback, of course, and I got on the little Swamps Joey Fresh Goods.
Hey, shout out to Joe Fresh Good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He needs to
so
come on the podcast too. We would
That
love
would
I
be
love
beautiful.
those. I've been
Yes.
coveting those shoes.
and I also got my one ring that's from Dylan Lux.
Okay.
Shout out to Taylor. She definitely hooked me up with this.
Great. That's what's
I
up.
like this necklace today.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Wow. Forgot about this necklace. So this necklace right here is a great piece. I got this from Kate Spade.
Oh, yes. Look
Yeah.
at the versatility of the outfit,
Yeah.
y'all.
I told you we had a special guest today.
I forgot all about this just because I wear this so often. So it doesn't even feel like it's on.
Got you.
Yeah.
No, it's fly. It's
I
fly.
love that. I love how men are reclaiming pearls. Like, I'm a big fan of it.
Okay. All right, cool. Me, I have on I call it a production tee. So I worked Sammy B Designs New York fashion show. So she blessed us with these shirts. This hat I got back when I was in Nigeria in the Onisha market. I love it. This is kind of like my signature. This hat is probably like my favorite thing in my closet. Like I feel like people know me by this hat now, how much I wear it. So yeah, that's what I have on, and I'm ready to pod. I'm excited. So I think first thing we're going to start off with a little hot or not. So we've been giving you guys the newer segment, which is Rock, Stock, or Drop in our previous 2 episodes. But I'm bringing back the hot or not because I saw Doja Cat in an interview. It looked like she was interviewing each other, her and I think it was Ice Spice. So she had on this look from Luar, which was a Japanese cream crepe cow neck sunglasses top, which is very interesting. So we'll start with Arrington. Hot or not on this look?
I'm going to say not.
Okay.
And not just because of the style. I'm just big on functionality. That's my thing. Style, runway is probably great. I like the imagery of it
Mhm.
by being creative in shapes, and as it does probably have a lot of storytelling to it too.
Mhm.
Functionality, it got to be a knot for me.
Gotcha.
I'm big on that.
What you think, Thema?
I think visually it's so interesting. Like
Facts.
I don't think a lot of people will be able to pull it off though.
Mm-mm.
It works really well with Doja. I
Mhm.
love it with her with the short cut. I feel like that helps pull it together, and I also like how she's layered it. I don't think I liked it on just like the model on the runway. I was not really feeling that,
Yeah.
but how she styled it worked really well. But I hear you on the functionality because we were laughing earlier because I don't like to be restricted. I like to be able to move my hands and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you got this thing like connected,
Just sitting on your face, Mo.
connected. Like I just would be like, this is how I would be walking around the whole day. Like
Yeah.
I hate to be constricted. So I feel you on the functionality.
It
piece.
bothers me looking at it, just how it's sitting
Yeah.
like connected to the face. Like I would just feel so weird. So it's definitely like a not for me. This is one of those pieces that's very like good on the runway, good for the storytelling. As we know, everything on the runway isn't for you to actually wear. I'm not the biggest fan of that part of fashion because we get into the aspects of it being wasteful and things like that. But at the end of the day, fashion is art, so I do appreciate it. But
Yes.
it's a not for me. Like. No.
And we're not knocking the art.
No,
we're
we're
just
not.
saying we just like to be cozy.
Cozy. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into learning a little bit more about you, Arrington. Can I just start by saying that y'all, me and Chuck are both from the DMV.
Yeah.
And it is so exciting to have a conversation with somebody from the DMV somewhere else.
Yes.
That's cool as fuck.
This is
so
fire.
let's start with that. Like I'm really excited about that. But I would just love to hear like where did everything begin? Like where did your love for fashion start?
We all have to blame Sandra Fleming for that, my mother.
Shout out to her.
Yeah, coming up, she always had me in Ralph Lauren. And with Ralph, as I grew up, I knew it was just more of like a traditional thing with him. He's big on tradition. And no matter what it was, if it was uniforms, still Ralph Lauren. And also she was the plug for Gap. So she used to merchandise for Gap, her and my aunt. So, you know, back in the day, Gap was a thing.
Yeah.
You know, Gap and Old Navy.
Gap and Old Navy.
Yeah.
They used to hit like really like they
every
used to
color.
like they don't. It's crazy how they just like it deteriorated, but like Gap and Old Navy, like we used to look forward to go shopping. And
Yes.
Yeah.
And I ain't really had to like go out. My mom and my aunt used to just come home with the stuff, you know, for the most part. So,
nice.
And then as far as like styling, I would have to blame her too, because she used to let me pick out her outfits for like her events, dates. Didn't even matter, you know, holiday situations with the family. So
That's so dope. Like how you can just like intentionally like empower your children and they don't even realize it. Like that's something that I would want to take. I would want to like empower my kids. Be like, all right, yeah, dress me. How would you see it? Because it's like you never know the power like that you can put into a child young and how it'll manifest later. So that's really dope.
Well, that's why I say Sandra, because she treated me as her friend ever since I was a baby. You know, so like we had that type of connection, which allowed me to be more of myself. You know, so like that helped me express. That helped me also to look at the world at a different lens versus somebody just being strict on me, like you got to do this and do that. You know, so I opened that channel.
I love that.
But yeah, that's what started it. And of course, coming from my area, you know, we probably like one of the best in style.
Yeah.
Like I said, we can travel anywhere and people can know we're from the DMV.
Word. Yeah.
You know, and I'm from the PG County area.
Shout out PG.
Raised in Upper Marlboro.
Baby.
And just like being an athlete too. I think that comes a long ways, you know, coming up. One of my biggest idols is Allen Iverson. So, you know, he broke a lot of barriers.
So they created the NBA dress code because of him.
Yes. Yeah. So like, even like on and off the court, you can see at that time, you could see people wearing the arm sleeve just being out. Right. You know, like wearing a headband just being out. People getting into jewelry, people accepting like getting tattoos and things like that.
Yeah.
So, and I don't base that as being a street fashion thing. That always was him like creating an art form that he knew, you know? So that definitely developed my certain sense of style, but also like more importantly, being myself. Like he really represented that. And then once I played basketball like high school, college, and then I ended up getting hurt in college. So like it allowed me to dial back where I had like that time to even think what I wanted to do going forward. Is basketball still a thing for me?
Yeah.
So I got back into styling. So like when I was hurt, I was like, you know, helping people rearrange their closets and helping people like on sets. Not even getting paid for it, just like keeping myself, my mind busy, not thinking about, damn, I should be playing basketball right now.
Right.
And got into that, and then I began to develop a brotherhood, like me and my brothers from back home, called Snapback Nation.
Okay.
So we all collected like vintage snapbacks, and it was like such a thing, and it was like going all over Twitter and things like that, and that became into Snapaholics, which is like very, very first like fashion line to develop.
So you were around like what age during the time?
This was 2021.
Okay.
I think I was like 21, 22 when this was happening. Yeah, and it was beautiful. It was a beautiful thing. And it was more like streetwear in a way, but it was also, we were just dropping merch because we just want to wear our own things. Yeah. And we started making our own snapbacks.
Yeah.
Then we started connecting with people in those ways. So like, it was like the communication of just like style and like developing like foundation. That was my first time like getting into that, you know. Shout out to all of them too. Like, I wouldn't be nowhere near where I'm at without them. Yeah, for sure. Like, they kept it real with me. what was for me and what was not for me.
Yeah.
You know?
That's important.
Yeah, and they saw like where I wanted to lead to as far as like taking with fashion.
Yeah.
And then and after that, going into that, I figured like around 2016, 2017, it was time for me to make the move here. Originally, I wanted to just go straight to Milan, but I was like, let me just go to LA first.
Straight to Milan.
Yeah, I'm not mad at it at
all. I respect the ambition.
Yeah. So yeah, making that transition. I just woke up one morning and just like it's time. Just packed my car and just drove here. And
that's crazy.
That's
wild to me. I feel like we've had a couple conversations on this podcast about like taking a risk, taking the jump, and I think I've shared that as something that I'm just like not comfortable with. I am not like both my parents are immigrants. They're like, you're gonna be a doctor, lawyer, whatever. And it's really hard for me to fully jump into creative things and like bet on myself in that way. Because, you know, I always hear someone in the back of my head saying, how's that gonna make you money? Blah blah blah.
Your
blah,
mates
blah,
are doing this.
blah.
Your mates are doing that.
And my brother, he's an industrial designer.
So
nice. So he went to SCAD. He went to, I always forget the name of his school in Michigan. It's really bad. He went to school in Michigan that's like top in the nation for automotive design. So like, I was like, he's gonna do that. He's gonna be the artist. I'm just gonna do, I don't know. First was business, then it was like journalism. Then it was like,
oh, that's art too.
True.
Oh, that's art too.
True. It's a good point. So I really respect that you were able to pack up your car and say, I'm going to bet on myself and head to LA. It's really awesome.
Well, back to my childhood, my mom just kept it open for me to like do what I want.
Yeah.
You know, and like supporting that. Even if it wasn't like a sense of security, you know, like, is that going to make you money or are you going to like survive off that?
Right.
She would just push him, like, look, I'm your cushion if you need it, you know, in a way, mentally. And I have a lot of clients now that they're getting out of that mind frame too, because they have their parents where just like, this is not it. So I'll be talking to them like, just do it to the point where you just have to be confident, because once you be more confident, they'll understand.
Yeah.
It wouldn't take for them to see a big break for them to know. And some it takes that. And that's fine. It's in a lot of people's stories. It takes them for people finally being on worldly for their parents to be like, all right, cool. To be acceptive, you know.
I'm right where they are right now. I'm trying to make that transition. That's how I literally feel. But I'm at this just point where it's just like, I told my mom kind of the general direction it is, but she don't need no updates until I'm like there. Like,
yeah.
Sometimes you also, that's discernment too, to understand how much you share with people.
You just have to, you have to get, it's almost like I have to give my mom the announcements and the accolades when things are done versus like not always every single part of the process. So it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, you like you said, that discernment to know what people should know and what people shouldn't.
Yeah.
It's
That's
very big.
that's energy though. Like, and for me, like when I got up and left, I didn't tell anybody.
Yeah.
Because I knew if I was going to tell anybody, I would have stayed.
Stopped you.
Yeah,
Somebody
they
would
would
have
talk
stopped
you
you.
out of it.
Yeah, and not even
Yeah.
that. I was just, I would hope they wouldn't talk me out of it, but me just thinking like me leaving them.
Oh, okay.
That
Yeah.
was my.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm
That's
gonna lose these.
real.
I'm gonna lose these
Yeah.
relationships. I'm not gonna be in contact
Yeah.
as much
Oof.
because I know what I'm driving for.
Yeah.
Nah, literally, like on my way there, it was plenty of times I broke down driving here, thinking about that, and it was more so my friends,
Yeah.
which I called my family. Like my family was pushing me to go 3 years before I left.
Yes, family. I
You
love
know,
that.
yeah, because they knew what I really wanted to do. You know, so that was a situation, and I just did a group text like maybe like a quarter way there. I'm like, y'all, I'm going to LA. You know, so and I can't even wish I would have did it better. I just wasn't in the mindset to be able to communicate to everybody
Yeah.
and make the move.
Yeah.
This was my first time ever choosing myself first before anybody else.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
And those who are support you and meant to be around, even though you probably didn't do it in the ideal way, they're still going to be around.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
so true.
I would think of if any of my friends did that, I would support them. I'd probably be like, let me know when you actually get there because I'm on the next flight over there to come help you,
Right.
like set up your room, whatever you need.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like, yeah, like when you have to choose yourself, the right people are still going to support you in that decision and not take it personal, and then you still just find ways to help you.
Yeah, because it's still like in my plans, I got a list of people that when things happen, I'm put them in them places, and a lot of them, like they know I just don't do this for me. I do this for everybody.
Yeah,
you know. So like I just knew I had to make this for it to be a driving force.
Yeah.
In a way, and for myself too, mentally, I felt like so held back because I couldn't like express myself so creatively. And I prepped myself before I came out. Like that year and a half before I left, I was watching like 20 fashion shows a day and working 2 jobs. So I wasn't like, man, I was missing people's birthdays. I wasn't going out. And I felt bad about that, but I knew I had to like tap in that way. Like what was like truly inside of me. But yeah, like the first year and a half, like I just made sure like my bills was like paid up to like 4 or 5 months so I can just like coast. And then I got into styling out here. I was like an intern for like Zoe Costello. She's like a really good stylist. She's very sweet. So I was helping her with a bunch of styling, like for Migos was my first gig with her, which is like really good. And she's like their main stylist at the time. I don't know about now. But like a lot of the awards, videos and things like that, like Christina Aguilera, Party Next Door.
Party Next Door.
Yeah, that was a good one. Him and Future. I forgot the video. When they did that video for that movie, the soundtrack for that movie, I forgot the name of the movie.
And I can see the soundtrack in my name. And ain't no shame in my game.
Yes.
What is that joint? I can't remember what that joint is called, but I know exactly the song that you're talking about.
So that was one of the first sets I was able to like really be like really involved. And then it just got to the time where it just wasn't as efficient for me in a way. It's just like my scheduling. So I just started doing like more styling on my own.
I think it's called Superfly.
Yes. There you go. Yes, Superfly. Yes. That was a great situation. So professional. But yeah, and I got into styling more and I was like, man, I just need to start making more money though. You feel me? Like I'm like bank account's getting a little low. But I end up getting into sourcing and fabrication.
Okay.
So I started like sourcing fabrics for like people's like product development.
Can you talk a little bit about what sourcing is?
So sourcing is the foundation of, it could be a garment, stage design, it could be anything, backdrops, anything. So sourcing is mainly finding a fabrication that suits the product. So it can be like I mainly was sourcing for costuming.
Okay.
Okay.
So like a particular like costume written out that they want to do, and then they come to you and they say, okay, we want to do this, and we're thinking burlap, we're thinking this, and then
there you go.
You help them.
Yes. And then I end up getting a job at Move Fabrics. So that helped me a lot.
Mood.
Yeah. Great people. Love them over there. Shout out to Raul, Ernie. Yeah, it's that was a great time for me just because I was learning more than just fashion at that point. And with those projects, I wasn't even knowing until like the day of or the day after like the movie will release because they can't tell us.
Right.
So it's like we're jumping out there and it's like, yeah, they tell me what they want, but they only can tell me about like half. So you got to kind of like make it work in your own way. Yeah, I ended up doing some sourcing for like the first Joker movie, Space Jam 2.
Ooh, fun.
A lot of these Netflix shows that's out now, like Peaky Blinders. Yeah,
That's a cool one to do sourcing for.
yeah, it's fun, especially when it's like the 70s, hitting the
Yeah.
60s, 70s type
Yeah.
feels.
Those period pieces.
Yeah.
Miss
Yeah.
Levy talked about that. That was her favorite joints as well too, because she does makeup, so she loved doing makeup for period pieces.
Yeah, I mean it's the best. I mean that's the best way to storytell. You know, so like I learned so much, and then I started learning about like I need a source fabrication that's good for movement. So if you're doing something for Star Wars, you know you need something that moves well, but also looks elevated.
Yes.
You know, so like that also helped me going into the motion of like, okay, if I can source these things, I also can develop these products for people that need things like this too. So I started getting like side projects from outside of Mood, but getting connected in there. They're like, well, you can just help me with this, help me with that, you know? So, yeah. And I started doing my own sourcing gigs for my own self. It's also helping other people too, like in development, like people that didn't know into like sourcing and things, which is key. So
yeah, so it's a mix of like doing the actual sourcing work, but then also consulting with folks.
Yes,
to do it as well.
And also with sourcing too, I tell people like it's the color grading too. The color theory, being a colorist is big because you gotta see what works with the light, the lighting of it too.
Yeah, it's so interesting when you break all of those pieces down, because I think people don't realize all of the different pieces and intentionality that go into just something like a piece of clothing. Like you know what I'm thinking of? From The Devil Wears Prada, that one scene where she's talking about like the color of the belt.
Yeah.
And she's like cerulean blue. Like like it. So much thought goes into it.
Yeah.
You can't even like, and they're also, I think for people who are considering the fashion industry, it's also important to know like all of the different things you could potentially touch to be able to work in the industry. So I find this stuff fascinating.
Yeah, just understanding the whole like assembly line, for lack of better words, of like fashion. And it's like, I think also, which is why we like this platform, we want to educate, because I think when the consumer is more knowledgeable of what goes into every single piece, they start to value things more. So then it's like they start to value the price of things more. They start to value just taking care better their clothes as well too. So
you're nailing it right on the head.
And consume less.
Yeah, it's for people to know that. And like you said, as a consumer, it's so important to know that too. Like that's key. What you like you said, what you're putting your money into. Like I'm more of I wouldn't say I'm like very minimalist, but I also like everyday wear. I like stuff that's gonna last. I like stuff that's gonna age as it gets better as it age in a way. So I'm so key on that.
Gotcha.
Okay, so you've gone from sourcing to consulting with people in sourcing.
Yeah.
What's next after?
I went into product
production.
Yeah, production. Yeah, like learning lighting.
Okay.
I end up learning a little bit like with light design, but also with just managing, like project managing. Like they'll bring me to these places to help with pieces, and it's like, oh, like, but you got an eye for this. Can you check out this thing for us? Or things like that. So that became a thing. And that's just me just like giving opinions. I was like, yeah, y'all should like move that over a little bit.
Yeah.
Or like have this angle come from this person because they feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, I don't know, I'm all about everybody feeling good.
Yeah. Yeah. But also, I'm like, you got to be really detail oriented for that too.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Like,
it's heavy.
And I think people forget how important it is to be detail oriented in certain types of careers. It's like, I think people flourish really well when they got that eye for detail.
Yeah, and I was about to say detail oriented also looks different in different fields as well.
Yes.
That's a good point. That's a
Like-
good point. Because I'm detail oriented in some things, and some other things I am
just-
not.
I learned that the hard way going into auditing. I thought I was detail oriented, and I got there, and I was just like, "Oh no!"
Yeah, it is a different. It's all repetition too.
Yeah.
Like I got this one saying. What I tell all my clients: what you do in one thing, you want to do in all things.
Yeah.
So like, you can just tell if a person's detailed just if like if they're getting a coffee and they like their coffee in a certain spot in front of them while they're talking to you. You can just tell. I just pick
Yeah.
up details and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I just know who I'm getting into.
Yeah.
It's just social cues
Right.
without
Yeah.
them even
Right.
saying anything. You know, like it's so interesting, but I'm so into that.
That cracks me up because in the same place. Oh, I am so not detail oriented in that way. Child. I could,
As long as it's not in knockdown
Yeah.
distance is good for me. Like that's the only thing I worry about having long arms, just knocking stuff down. So
yeah. I'm actually only detail oriented in my job. Like everything else in life, because I think it takes a lot of mental capacity
I was just about
to be
to say
detail
that.
oriented. Like, do you feel that way, or does it just come naturally to you?
It's natural, but also you do have to save a space for that.
Okay.
It's do like I said, it's repetition. So like when it's like that, it's automatic. You don't think about it too
know what
much.
details to check for.
But yeah, but when you're in different environments and it's not the type of environment you're in all the time, and
Yeah.
you can't really like move like how you move, that's when you start to think. Like,
yeah.
and this is kind of throwing me off, but all right, I gotta adjust.
yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
that's why I like to be just being more organized situations as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I really carefully choose my clients.
Yeah.
I just don't take anybody. I just can't. And that's a risk to take because you can be missing out on a lot of money.
That's yeah.
Yeah.
But hey, you know, like
But that's big in business is having the right clients as well too, because
Yeah.
the wrong clients become super
They'll
expensive.
Suck all your time and
And
energy.
not just financial expense.
There you go.
Peace.
There
you
mentally,
go.
like,
Yes.
all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I was gonna say, I think that you're probably not detail oriented and everything else because work probably trains you so much that
Yeah.
the mental capacity is the battery is gone by the time you get home.
I don't know if
It's
any of my
like,
clients ever watch the podcast. I love y'all.
Yes.
It's the best.
but you gotta also, you know, you gotta have your things to help you charge up.
Yes.
yeah, facts.
You know, you're not gonna be in every comfortable environment and to be like well off.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's what makes it interesting.
Yeah.
Learning people.
Yeah.
You get to learn more about yourself too.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
All right, so we talked about project management.
Yeah.
I know you do a lot of other things.
Yeah.
Listen, man, when
Like,
they
this
say
is
somebody
like
who
we hit the-
wears the hats, many hats, this guy is
Got
the
all the hats.
epitome. The epitome.
You
Every
want a
single
bucket
hat.
hat? You got that.
We got you.
You got the fitted? You got that.
Brimless hat. We got it. Like
just the hat store right here.
basically.
I think I got that from my childhood too. Like
Yeah.
I have to really learn every aspect of everything
Yeah.
I'm doing
Yeah.
to really know how to like communicate and
Yeah.
like run it through.
Mhm.
So like after that I went into product development and I learned how to pattern make for like a year and a half.
Mhm.
Just like strictly. Like I was in the library every day. Like it didn't matter. Like I didn't even have the space to do it. I used to just go to libraries. I'm using
Yeah.
the tables.
Yeah.
They did not bother me. And then I got into sewing.
Mhm.
Shout out to my sister Taylor and my brother Reggie. They both helped me learn how to sew. They also let me use their machines.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So that really, yeah. I should definitely talk to them on a podcast. I would love them. Taylor, she's actually from PG too. LA. Reggie's from out here. But yeah, I took the time, like the year and a half to do that. The year to know how to sew.
Yeah.
Also, yeah, I did that 8 months learning how to source. So all that just like compound. And then once I got into a comfortable station, it's like, all right, I can help people with product development.
Yeah.
Let's get this a run. I got a couple of clients and then COVID hit, of course. COVID hits. And then I'm thinking like, all right, nobody's working. I'm living in like Woodland Hills at this time. Shout out my brother, Rich. And my sister Tay, they all from that area too. We got like a space out there. And then once that hit, I started getting more clients because everybody had the time to sit at home and think about what they wanted to do. So I was getting hit up like, man, I know this is a time. Like, do you really want to work on these projects for me? I'm like, yeah, sure, let's do that. So took that lane. helping people with product developing that. And then once the stores start opening up, that's when I start helping people with like, all right, now we got to sit with brand identity. We got to push this and like push that. Like you got to have like substance, you know?
Yeah.
But I always was big on brand identity. I just didn't know I was into it.
Yeah.
Because I'm really like huge on storytelling with anything I do. So I started getting clients for that. So I'll just come in and we just build the DNA for that. Basically, as I was helping them with product development, as I was helping them for manufacturing and things like that, and getting their fabrics developed too.
Yeah.
At the same time. So yeah, you know, that was the course. Still is the course.
Yeah. It's funny that you talk about brand identity because I know I can't remember how long ago, maybe like in the last like 6 to 8 months, but Business of Fashion put out that article talking about they had like this factor called like the brand magic factor that determined how well that company's brands were translated from what they ideally was to the customer. And that's a big thing for any company, but especially fashion as well too. And then it kind of makes me think about because recently Balenciaga had a show in LA. And Balenciaga is just, it's interesting to say the least. I actually want to discuss like that. Like, did you go to the show?
I potentially was supposed to go. I just had to like handle some more like client work that was more important to me. Also, I was getting ready for State of Condition to launch the same day. So I wanted to, but after going to New York Fashion Week in September, I just told myself I don't need to go to any shows until it's time for me to go. Yeah.
Gotcha. So I'm like Balenciaga to me, and like I joke about this like on our story. I feel like it's a social experiment. Like at this point, like I just feel like they just like, yo, what is the most ridiculous thing we can make, and see if people will still consider it like fashion and catch on to it. Like I remember like a while ago when they made the jeans attached to the underwear. Like now they got these extra large like running shoes, and it's like looking like a child wearing like their dad's like shoes and stuff like that. So like what is your thoughts, you have an experience on branding and brand identity on like the brand that is like Balenciaga?
Well, let me just touch on Balenciaga real quick. So a lot of people don't know they was super haute couture when they first started. Like Balenciaga, he had his first store in Spain in 1918. And then he didn't start going to Paris until like 1922-ish. And then he was doing like salon shows. So back then, salon shows, you did those fashion shows in houses. And it wasn't for the public, it was for the people that was buyers.
Yep.
You feel what I'm saying? So like Balenciaga definitely developed a history in that. But as it goes along into now, like the creative director now, Demna, which is Ventmont's. He started Ventmont. But a lot of people don't know his DNA. He came from under like Margiela. He worked with Margiela. He worked with like LV and things like that. So like, I kind of understand why it is where it is, because he knows how to. With Demna, he's really good with silhouettes. I can say that. I really do love how he communicates that, but he also knows how to tie that into what the culture is now. Like he's very smart, and he has a smart team. Like, I could say one of the smartest moves is when he did the Simpsons show.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Do you feel what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Then everybody just started trying to like go digital after that. Like, you to be able to have licenses to do that is like insane.
Yeah, that's crazy.
To me.
Yeah.
So like, in Balenciaga, it's a couple pieces I wear, but I'm more like an archive boy. I like archives, like things from back then.
Yeah.
Even before Demna like even stepped in. But from a storytelling standpoint, it's beautiful, but I get what everybody's saying about like how it was just like over exaggerated. But that's just who he is, though. Yeah. That's the brand identity. That's why he always gonna have those customers, because he's always been like that.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, in a way. So that's my take on it.
I have a thought on the creative director and the brand identity in a second. But are we allowed to share our feelings?
Yes, please.
Please. Okay, I already told you. It's a social experiment to me, honestly.
So I have like two views on fashion.
Yeah.
The first view is really focused on like the functionality piece of fashion, and like you get up in the morning and what you put on your body informs how people receive you in the world. Like we've talked about this in the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, you know, it's really personal.
Yeah.
And that's why I enjoy it so much, because it's such a reflection of who I am, like what I'm wearing. And when I'm not feeling comfortable in the clothes that I'm wearing, then I physically don't feel comfortable. So there's that one aspect of it. The other aspect of it for me is the art form. And not saying those two cannot touch each other. But the art form, like if we're just thinking about like the visual arts.
Yeah.
And the different eras of arts. And y'all don't come for me when I don't remember the names of these things. I took a couple art history classes. I've forgotten.
All good.
But you have, okay, like Impressionist, you know, all of that art movement had movement to it. You know, the lines weren't really defined and it was a specific style. And then you have like Picasso, you know, who took and made everything kind of like crazy and abstract. And you've got Dali, surrealism, and just like, you know, twisted everything. And I feel like looking at the Balenciaga work is probably the first time I've seen that. I've seen something that speaks to like it's almost like the pop culture version of like the pop culture brand, if that makes sense. Like it's giving like Andy Warhol's take on art. And Andy Warhol was like, you either loved it or you hated it.
It's facts.
You know? And you were just like, I'm sure some people were like, you taking a Campbell's can and like, why is this even like, you know, is this really art? And so I feel like I view it in like it's doing what I feel like art is meant to do sometimes, is create spectacle. And so now, granted, I'm not paying money for that spectacle.
It's nice to look at.
Yeah. What I said before, I want to be comfortable when I'm wearing.
Right.
So, but like, you know, it's cool for it to be out there and for people to enjoy it and comment on it and have conversations about it. Like, I think if that's what we're viewing this as just as art, the art form, then I think that they've succeeded in that. So that's my take.
I think that's good.
That was good. I don't know art history. They dropped three different Jones, and I was
really digging, y'all. I was like, okay, so
you're teaching me. I was interested. I was like, Professor Andima coming to a college near you. Like, damn.
But that's people just coming down the ladder, though.
Yeah.
Like even if you take it all the way back to like Da Vinci, like we still using stuff. He created a parachute. We still using that.
Yeah.
You feel like that's what I'm big on. Like my product is not the clothes. My product is the art direction, the storytelling, how it can make you feel. And like his was all about research. Back then, art was like research, like the human body, all of that, you know. And then it gets to the point where like I want stuff to live after me. Yeah. In that way. That's why I design the way I design, or anything that I do. It's all lifestyle. Yeah. You know, like I think that's what people should aim for. It's tough to do it now because people don't get the patience for it. They want like whatever's like fast.
I was going to mention that because when you said like, yo, I was learning pattern making for a year and a half, like, yo, I was sewing for 8 months, and it's like I think people nowadays need to learn that it takes time. Like everything takes time. Like you gotta understand, like all the stuff that he does, he's putting 8 months, a year and a half. That starts to add up. And if you don't put in that time, you're not gonna get there. You're gonna be somebody who is mediocre. You're gonna be running from the fact that you're not as technical, and it's not really gonna show through in your work like that. Because I don't know if it's talked about a lot, but I feel like we're in an era where there's a lot of creative directors. Like there's a lot of people who don't, like, literally there's just no technical to it as far as like the other aspects of like traditional fashion, which is the sewing, the pattern making, the drawing, the CAD and stuff like that. They kind of just have this vision and they're able to communicate it to somebody else to do it. And I wonder sometimes if there's a loss in the originality, because I feel like men's fashion in general, I think it's getting better, but I think it suffered from a while from a lack of originality. And I wonder if some of that is rooted in the fact that some of the men who are heading up some of these, whether it be fashion houses or streetwear houses, lack the technical ability. And I wonder if that sometimes like hinders the originality.
Mm.
I think social media was a cost of it.
Facts.
Because you can just put a title on yourself, and if you're good at communicating, like you can just throw images up there, and it can really look like you're doing something.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not shooting anybody down, but I know who's deep in it. I know who's like doing the groundwork. You can just tell.
Yeah.
Like I can tell a person and on social media.
Yeah.
But also I gotta commend them because they're using it as a tool and it's figuring out a way to live the life they want to live. That's why I can't even knock people like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But also too, like fashion takes dips because other things accommodate it in a way. Like we gotta think 90s hip hop changed fashion. You feel what I'm saying? Things outside of fashion, like, and they gotta like, you know what, this working, gotta go to that.
Mm-hmm.
And I get that, but you want, and another thing too, not to get too business savvy with it, but a lot of people also forget that these creative directors or these designers, they don't got control once they give up some of their business to people.
Mm-hmm.
So like the business sides own it.
Mm-hmm.
So you can be like, oh, I want to experiment with this. And they're like, no, you're going to do what you did in 2019 that made this 17 mil.
Because we invested and we need to get our money back, and the numbers show this, that, and the third.
Yep.
So get back to
it. And if you decide, we're going to get another creative director in there. And then a lot of people give a piece of their business, and their business is under their real name. So like you can't even use that name no more if they kick you out.
Thank you, capitalism.
Yeah.
Strikes again.
Yeah.
So like I think menswear is getting much better just because people are understanding like silhouette. Like back then men's was just like, let's just make a block and it's gonna fall on a man's body. Now people are like coutouring, like that's what I do.
Y'all.
No, really.
It really wasn't.
That's another reason why I started making my own clothes.
Yeah.
I like when stuff shaped to my body, just like how women's like their stuff shaped to their body.
Yeah.
That's exactly how I design, So like, I don't know. I just think it's in streetwear or whatever. Streetwear to me is bigger than graffiti. Streetwear is what you would wear on an everyday basis. That's why streetwear is crept into all these high-end fashion houses. It's like an everyday thing for me. And we come from, like I said, we come from those roots. We come from like all days, Bonadachi, Hobo. We are one. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that,
Yeah.
but
I'm from Baltimore.
but
No.
but yeah, like it's just like they did that for the community though.
Facts.
Yeah.
That wasn't so like worldwide. That was like the community needs something.
Mm-hmm.
So like I just think it's a lot of ways around it. It just like you just got to stay on your vision. Don't stay locked in. Just be an arrow. Don't try to like, oh, this is working. Let me go over here so I can make some money. Like it'll be your time.
Right. We can tell you do brand identity.
Thank you.
Yeah, whatever you do, just like nerd out, like really learn and really take the time to do it, so you can sound like him when you get interviewed.
Right.
And you know what gave me that though? I can honestly say, and being an athlete, repetition, basketball, that helped me be. You have to be locked in, and I use that in anything I do in life now.
And Toby talks about that. He said he basically took his football work ethic and put it into music.
Yeah.
Like, and it's funny because I was an accounting major in school, but my last semester I took 2 fashion classes, and what I saw is that even though I probably lacked some of the creative talent that the other kids had, those kids didn't have my work ethic. A lot of creatives, they could create the dopest t-shirt, but they're never going to sit down to do it. They're never going to sit down and do it. Me, I'm just like, I'm going to do it and I'm going to figure it out. So it's almost like how they say sometimes hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I saw in my creative class. I'm like, yo, these kids visually stuff, they're just way better than me. But it's like some of them just don't want to sit down and do the work. Why is your project not here? Like, your project was due last week and you still haven't done it. But you can draw circles around me. But the fact that I turned in my work and I got the grade at the end of the day, migrate is higher just because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, the work got done.
Yeah.
And that's what it is with a lot of stuff. The work has to get done.
Yeah.
Your talent doesn't mean anything until the work gets done.
Yeah. And that doesn't make them hire you either. It just, everybody got a different creative lane.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the people that know the business side of it, and that's why I chose to learn that too as I was going along, they're always going to last.
Yeah.
Always. Because they're going to know not just what works, but they're going to know how to like really utilize their funds.
Yeah.
Which is more importantly, like, don't go out here and try to put out 1,000 shirts.
Right.
Get 1,000 shirts made, and you think you better sell 1,000.
Offload all 1,000.
You better make one and wear it out for like a couple of months,
Right.
and see what people's eyes are going to,
Mhm.
Yeah.
then decide.
Yeah.
You know,
And we
like,
need more people like you who are creative, but then also understand the business, because
Yeah.
then you find a better way to marry the two versus what happens,
Yes.
like you said, in a lot is business people who don't really understand creatives, and all they worried about is bottom line, bottom line, bottom line. They don't know how to marry the creative with the business. So they need more people like you who are naturally creative, understanding creation, but also understand, like you said, you can't just make 1,000 shirts. So you can kind of like, you can find a better percentage structure of business and creative to create just like a better brand.
yeah. And lifestyle.
Yeah.
That's what's important.
So getting back to brand identity, I know that you're an art director.
Yeah.
Make sure I get the title right for that.
Thank you.
Which tell the people a little bit about who that brand is and what your role is as the art director. Keeping in mind this conversation we had where, like, you know, everyone wants to put creative director.
Yeah.
No,
Well,
we know that's not you.
As I see, that's why I said philosopher. But yes, so I am an art director for many brands, but my number one brand is right now, outside of mine, is Bago LA. The owner's name is Brandon. I met him when I was working at Mood.
Okay.
He had a footwear project that he came in, he needed some sourcing on, so I helped him source. So we just like remodeled a Jordan 1 for one of his projects, which was a great cause. It was for somebody that he was tied into that was incarcerated. So they made this shoe to look like, so we built it, it's like a Jordan 1 like butterfly. So we made it like how like the butterfly comes from the cocoon in a way. So like learning from your mistakes, hibernating, like really like dialing in your life. So we worked on that. That was such a great project. Like we was able to get that shoe done in like 2 weeks. Mind you, it takes like 4 months to get shoes done. Yeah. So, but that's just with the sourcing, and I helped them with sourcing, and we kind of like gelled from there, and like we always kept in touch. And then he was like, "Man, I'm ready to start a brand," and I was like, "Just bring me in. I got you." Like I always tell him, like I'll be your partner in anything you want to do. So he basically needed somebody to do product development, of course. So I was like, all right, let's start this first project or whatever. So we started with that, but also we brought together where we sat, and he was really big on detailing brand identity and this is a Filipino American brand. So he wanted to bring like first generation to second generation. He wanted to bring first generation to how Filipino American are now, and second generation learning their history at the same time. So we went into that. Basically, we just took a bunch of silhouettes from those times back then. I mean, like high-end Filipino like royal families until like people that's like rice field workers in the Philippines. Yeah, and it was such a great situation for me because in America we don't have any tradition. So I was finally with a brand that actually has tradition, and we was going through tradition before we started these projects. Like he would bring me over with his family and we'll eat certain dishes and things like that, like learning those aspects. You know, that's what helped me be able to be in the family of doing this. So getting that down was like beautiful. And we took a lot of this art direction just looking through family albums, honestly. And then, which was like such a great thing. Of course we did like our Googles and our searches on that, but like I really wanted to bring home to this. And that's why they like so successful today. Like we only been out for like a little bit over a year, and it's moving rapidly, like really rapidly. So like I think the tradition part really turned something on in my head. And I mean, ever since we've been jamming every week for like a year and a half. Like it's beautiful. And everybody on the team is like so smart and open their arms. You know, I'm like the only Black person in the brand, you know? So everybody else is Filipino.
Wow.
You know, so like it's even more of like they're such great people. Such great people.
So dope.
Yeah.
That's ill. I like that.
How to are you like taking the same approach for the identity of your brand? Like how do you
Well, for me it's a little different. For like so it was gonna be like by air, like by ARR. That's what initially I was gonna do that. And then one day I was just developing like some pieces and I was like, man, I want to do like 16 iterations of this t-shirt. And then I was going through, I was like, damn, this is like the state of condition of things. I was like, oh no, that's it. State of condition. So that came from a t-shirt idea I was doing.
Wow.
So in state of condition means like the development of how things exist. So it's like never finish, you know. So I took that and I was like, man, we gotta get the ball rolling on this. So like I started diving into that and so many different type of conditions people in, like mentally, physically, but also in the artistry world, that's all we're doing. Like, and I started like studying like chemists and things like that because all of that, all the type of experiment is like a state of a condition. So I went into that, and I'm a big like film buff, so I watch a lot of movies. So I get a lot of my detailing and storytelling from like movies, and also like stuff that happened in my life too.
Fitting, LA.
Yeah, you know. So like I'm big into that. So that's how I get into storytelling for myself, and I think I'm building my own tradition in a way.
Yeah.
The more and more I put people under my camp, they start to understand me, and they can just branch off and do their own things. Yeah. So yeah.
All right. Well, I want to get into another, not really a segment, but a question that we ask all of our guests. And that is, what is your favorite Black fashion moment?
I don't know if I got a favorite Black fashion moment. I could say it's a favorite, but I could say my most emotional one is at the end of Virgil's first LV show when he connected back with Kanye. That hug, y'all, that hug was the most impactful thing at that time in my life because I understood where Virgil was coming from and where Kanye was coming from.
Yeah.
You know, like they came up interning for Fendi together.
Yep.
That's the job Kanye wanted. You know, so like to see that connection, and he was like so proud of him in that moment, and like I don't know, that just did something for me. Like I damn near forgot the show once that happened. Wow. You feel me? Like I think that was one of the most impactful for everybody, honestly, but definitely for like Black people. You know, just to let them know, like,
that's a great one.
Yeah, Virgil ain't had to kick down doors. He just walked through them, man. I don't even know how. He just had to jam the keys.
That's
to
a
me.
Great way to put it.
Yeah, he didn't have to fight for nothing.
Yeah.
You know, like he just was being him, and it's just energy.
Yeah.
Persona, man. Like, but yeah, I would say, that was like my favorite moment. Until we have more moments.
There'll be many more.
Yes.
Many more.
Facts. So I know so you've done all these things, production, pattern making, all this stuff. Where are you going next?
Next, especially when more things kick off for me, and I say in the next, I won't put a time frame on it, but I'm gonna speak it. Like in the next 2 or 3 years, I'll be building my fashion house out of Milan.
Okay.
And while I'm doing this, still would be home base for me in LA. But while I'm doing that, once I'm into the space where I got all the teams in the right spots, I'm going back to school for architecture.
Okay.
So that'll be like my next step of like, because right now we're like designing spaces, we're designing buildings right now. I'm already like, I'm doing a bunch of spoiler alerts. I'm already like designing stuff that I'm about to present to like airline companies, like designing the seats, designing the towels, the pillows, and all that, the toiletry things.
Please consider tall people.
We
on the flight here. My head was definitely at the top in the bathroom. So
we got you. We have some great ideas. We just got to really be careful with them because we kind of like want to fund it ourselves. We just want to bring it to the people and then like let us test it out. Like we don't even need none of your money. If you want to put up, cool. But yeah, and potentially build these spaces out where we have like creative studios. So basically I got an agency called Studios of All Possibilities. That's what like storytelling, product development, manufacturing, art direction falls under. And like we're trying to build that for foundation, especially like for the younger crowd, but like just for anybody. You know, so like yeah, we dive into some stuff deep. And I make long-term and short-term goals, but at the same time, the long-term comes short for me. That's how I look at it. And sometimes the short-term goals take a little longer.
yeah.
So like I'm just putting all the stuff out on the table, you know, and these next couple of months I will be dropping a collection each month too.
We love to see it.
Yeah, women's and men's for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Y'all can get them pants.
Yeah.
Yes, those pants.
Them pants.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All the goods. Nah, this is good. Is that everything? Did I get it?
Yeah. This is a great conversation.
Yeah, no,
I
it was
learned
definitely
so
good.
much.
I did, yes. And I learned from Andima too about impressionists.
I know.
Look at me knowing a little something, something. You know, I know something.
Andima, let's go.
I know.
I'm here for Professor Andima. Please bring her out more, please.
Use the art history major or co-major. I don't know what it was. I had something.
It was whatever it was for you.
They made me.
Right.
But thank y'all for having me though, and on your birthday. This is
Yes,
very
man.
special.
Thank you for coming. Like, man, this is when we like was mapping out this season, and Dima was going to LA for her birthday. Like, we were like, okay, if we can get somebody, we can. If not, we were gonna shoot it. And then, like, last minute, it kind of just like came together.
Maya came through with the plug.
Yeah,
Right.
shout out
So,
to Maya.
yeah.
Oh,
Maya.
I miss her so much. Such a great individual, man. And she's very creative herself.
Yeah, she is.
Super.
So before we leave out, let everybody know where they can find you, socials, website, all that good stuff.
So Instagram, you can find me Arrington Fleming. That's my first and last name spelled out on Instagram. Also, the website is www.stateofcondition.com. Also on Instagram, you can find Soap Firm. That's the agency's page, and then State of Condition for Instagram as well. Also, you can find me on LinkedIn. A lot of great stuff is on LinkedIn, by the way. I recommend everybody put their stuff on LinkedIn.
I like this,
Yes.
y'all.
That-
Listen to that.
That is the #1 social network. I'm telling you. And
Yeah.
it's all business and it's all professional.
Yeah.
And you will connect with some great all over the world.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. All right.
Yeah.
So yeah, check them out. State of Condition pieces, new collections dropping.
Mhm.
Look forward to everything. He said too much for me to be able to recap on this. So look forward to everything he said. Like we said, we appreciate you coming on the podcast. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for educating, and just thank you for like inspiring and being a light, and continue to do what you do.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This is beautiful.
All
This
right.
has been fun. Chuck, tell the people where to find us.
Man, at Got This in Black, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Subscribe, please.
It's up.
Rate us, comment, like, share, all that good stuff. So yeah, another episode in the books. And yeah, season 3. I'm liking season 3.
I
So
am. It's a goodbye.
man, we'll see you guys again soon.
Peace, y'all.